Why do organizations have so much difficulty with the people side of performance? I mean, I've worked with the world's biggest tech companies, banks, manufacturing, healthcare, government. Everywhere, people are disengaged, and organizations are failing to actually move the needle. I'm going to show you the framework to solve this problem. It's called vital signs, and why it's so effective for you as a consultant, whether you're inside an organization or working with external clients. Often when we go to talk about emotional intelligence in organizations, it seems like a nice to have. This is the tool that connects the dots for people and helps them understand why emotional intelligence is central to performance. And we have dozens of case studies and articles that show you how focusing on the vital signs gives you a bridge to put emotional intelligence into action to improve the people side of performance and create better outcomes. But first, let's go through a little bit of the background and how we arrived at this model and what it actually does. First of all, the vital signs model isn't a theory that any one of us came up with. It's based on 10 years of data in the wild, looking at real organizations and real leaders. And from that, we extracted the key themes and identified what is it that actually predicts performance. So we measure in this tool performance outcomes like long-term performance, short-term performance, engaging individuals, organizational systems. And then we found the drivers that actually predict performance. Trust is a central factor that supports the other 4 areas. And when you have trust, your motivation can be higher, your teamwork can be higher, your change and adaptability can be more fluid, and you can get more results in your execution. So all 5 of these drivers work together. And you can see that in the background of the model, there's 2 axes. The horizontal axis focuses on the range from individual to the organization. And we know that sometimes we need individual attention. We need to pay attention to a person. And sometimes we actually need to ignore individuals and pay attention to the systems and structures. The second axis shows performance in terms of time. At the bottom is short-term, practical, today action we have to take. And at the top is the long-term strategic vision. And again, it's not that one of these is right. We need to be able to move between these. Whether you're talking about an individual leader, a team, or the whole organization, this model defines performance and the drivers that are going to get you there. So for example, at a team level, we can say a good team is a place where there's a context of trust, where people are motivated, they're adaptable to change, they work together effectively, and they are focused on the important work to get that done. We can play the same game at a leader level, organizational level. This framework gives us a way of defining what it means to have performance on the people side and the key drivers that are going to get us there. Now, this is essential because so often in organizations, they say things like people are our number 1 asset, but actually on the balance sheet, there are costs. There's not a way to quantify and understand and put on the dashboard to say, how are people actually contributing to performance? We say leadership is important, but what is leadership? And how does an individual leader's performance create effective teams? And how do strong teams ladder up into powerful organizations? And vice versa. So this model gives us a consistency of language, a framework that we can talk about this people side of performance at these 3 different levels and make it quantifiable. When you can take something abstract like leadership or teamwork or organizational vitality, and you can put it into one graph and you put it in the front of the room and people can look at it and understand it within seconds, that's going to give you a lever to help you move people into alignment and talk about the stuff that actually drives performance, get people on the same page with what really matters. So many tools in this space are incredibly complex. They have tons and tons of factors and often hundreds of pages to get to some concept. And it takes people hours to figure out what this report is about. I think a lot of organizational leaders value the idea that people are important in performance, but somehow it's vague or abstract. And what this does is it makes it concrete for people. If you can graph it, it becomes more real. But this gives us just enough data. We call these the vital signs of performance. Just like when you go into the hospital, they don't throw you into the MRI machine. They first start with your vital signs and get an idea, okay, what's happening here? And then we can go into more complex diagnostics. In the same way, these tools are intended to be rapid. Literally on Monday morning, I was at a stand-up meeting with the team in an organization, and Wednesday afternoon, we shared the results with the leadership team. This is immediate feedback that you can then integrate into your conversation and build plans around. It gives you a framework for identifying the obstacles and the drivers of performance, and to have the conversation that you need to have to put people more squarely into the center of the conversation. So the EQ for performance metrics have a number of benefits. They're practical, they're simple and quick, they're relatable, and they provide just enough information to get people focused on what matters.